Hello, everyone, and welcome
Hello
to
there.
the season. Welcome to the season 5 premiere of the Boiling Point podcast. Pastor Gavin, can you believe we're starting our 5th season?
No, where does the time go?
I know I have no idea where it's gone, but then this is episode 118. Of course, that's just the numbered episodes. If you count all the special reports and all our series and special segments that we've done, we're very much closer to 200. So, but this is episode 118, and we did not get to shoot our season finale at Mt Olivet like we normally do. I was up there. My plan was to go up there for 2 days. And I was up there the first day, and then the second day I had everything arranged. But when I got up, I could not move. I was not used to being up at the campground and rolling around the paths and the bumps and everything that I have up there all day. And also, I don't really have a place to like get out of my chair or lay down at the moment there at the campground. So that was also a hindrance. So the second day, the day we were going to shoot the episode, I was not able to show up and go. I could barely get out of bed. So we did not get to shoot our season finale there, but we're going to talk about it here in our season premiere because that's what I decided to do. So, Pastor, we didn't get to talk at Mount Olivet, but I did get to go up there for the day. It looked like it was a good year. Looked like there was a lot, good amount of people there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, the weather was a little bit warm, especially at the beginning of the week.
That heat wave going through.
Yeah. But, it was good. We had a great time, and I got to hear the word and different music. And, it was good.
Yeah. How was the message? It was a good speaker this year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't have his name written down. I should have got his name. Do you remember?
I can see his face as clear as day, but Tom Myers.
Tom Myers. Okay. And I'll get his information and link it in the description of this episode as well. So that way we can give him a shout out as well. I got to say for one service. So, and it was very good. I liked him. He was very charismatic. He had a good presence on stage, which is important when you're talking about the word. Some people think that you can just get up there and talk about it, but when you want people to learn and listen, it's on you to deliver it in a way to keep people's attention. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yes. And another important thing is that it's like Bible based. Like, you don't just open the Bible and read it and then talk about other things. You actually, the idea is to say, what does God's word say? And let's look at what it means and how it applies to our lives and fits in with the rest of what Scripture has revealed to us.
That is, yes, I would say that's probably more important. I mean, it's important to, be charismatic, and you don't want people falling asleep or be bored while you're delivering the word, but you want to make sure that you're delivering the word and then how to apply it today. That's one of the things that I always loved about your sermons. Speaking of which, go check out Pastor Gavin on his YouTube channel. I don't know, I didn't check before we started recording this, but he's right there at the cusp of 100 followers on his YouTube channel. So go follow him, and if he's not at 100, then help him get to 100. And if he's over that, then leave us a comment somewhere and let us know.
Yeah, please do subscribe.
Yeah, Pastor, all you have to do is search Pastor Gavin Whitcomb on YouTube, and you will find his channel. And of course on Facebook, Moore's Mountain Church. It's not a public page yet. I am working with Pastor Gavin. We are going to make that a priority here very soon so that it can be a public page, so you can just follow it. So look for that very soon. And then hopefully eventually, I don't know if it'll happen this year, but hopefully maybe by next year, his episodes will also hopefully be available on Rumble channel that we're going to make for him as well. So stay tuned to that. We got lots of stuff happening. But now, the final thing I'll say about Mount Olivet is, of course, the camp week happens the last Friday of July to the first Sunday in August every year, 10 days. So if you're in the Dillsburg area, in the central Pennsylvania area, stop in, especially for church service. You can go in, you can walk the grounds and look around, and you can attend church service. It's a non-denominational church service, so anybody is welcome to come in and worship. And it goes all 10 days. They have service every single night. they occasionally even get people local from Dillsburg that live right across the street from the campground. They occasionally get the people that live in the houses nearby coming down for the church services in the evenings as well. So if you're in the area, stop by. And hopefully next year we're going to be doing a lot of we're going to be doing at least an episode from there. I don't know if we'll be able to make it live. We're going to try and make it live, but we're at least going to record an episode next year. So that'll be great also. And of course, they do stuff on Labor Day, Memorial Day weekend as well.
Yeah, during the week of camp, which is it usually we start the last Friday of July into the first week of August. So it's 10 days. So the Monday through Friday of camp, we have a Bible school for the kids in the afternoon. And Monday through Friday, every morning at 10 a.m. is when I teach the Bible study for the adults.
And of course, there's the candy store in the afternoons after Bible school is over. And then, of course, again in the evening. And they is it just the candy store? Or do they do other stuff still? Do they do ice cream occasionally and the soft pretzels occasionally?
After the evening services, they have ice cream and they have a snow cone machine too.
Snow cone machine. That was the new thing this year. That's right. So make sure you come check it out. And like Pastor Gavin said, there's events all week long. So definitely come and check it out. We want to get more people in there and checking it out. It's not a secret. We don't want it to be a secret. Let's move on now to the other topics that we wanted to talk about in this episode. We're going to talk about the Olympics a little bit. On our sister show, Mayhem Media, I was going to do long coverage. I was going to do, multiple episodes during the Olympics, and then the opening ceremonies happened. And not that this is not an important thing that we're about to talk about, but just the fallout from it was just so, I don't know, disheartening, I guess, that I really didn't do any episodes. I'm going to do one episode for Mayhem Media just to recap everything and talk about the Olympics a little bit. But this really turned me off on it. So, Pastor, what are your thoughts on this? Of course, the faux Last Supper, the trans Last Supper, if you will.
Well, it's really sad. It's obviously mocking that picture of the the Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci, and this is just completely blasphemous. And the kind of people they had replacing Christ and the disciples, it's really despicable. But it doesn't really surprise me because the world is becoming a darker place, and the further people drift from God, their hatred of God and of the things of God and of Christianity, it's growing. And so I'm really not surprised. There was a day in the West when no one would have ever thought of trying anything like this. But I was learning recently about some of the history of the Olympic Games, and they had the Olympic Games back in Bible times. They also there are two books in the New Testament, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and the city of Corinth. There they had they called them the Isthmian Games, and no, I'm not speaking with a lisp. There's an isthmus. That's a thin strip of land that ties two bigger pieces of land together, and there's water, on both sides. So that thin strip of land is an isthmus. So the Isthmian Games were, from what I understand, a big thing. But the Olympic Games originally were pagan. And in fact, how we have the opening ceremonies? Well, when the Olympic Games first began and when they existed back in the days of the Greco-Roman Empire, I mean, there's a reason why they called them the Olympic Games, because the Greeks and Romans believed that the gods, their idols, lived on Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
And these games, from what I understand, would begin with pagan sacrifices to false gods, and even more pagan than the blasphemous thing that we've seen here. And it was around, I believe, the year 413 AD, or somewhere in that general time period, that one of the Christian emperors, and I'm using Christian in a loose, general sense of the word. I believe his name is Theodosius. It might have been one of the emperors outlawed the Olympic Games because as Christianity began to grow in its influence, this Christian emperor thought, we can't be doing this anymore. We're a Christian empire. And, we as a people, many of us have embraced Christianity. So this, pagan, idolatrous, god and goddess worship and all that, let's ban the Olympic Games. So for a number of years, the Olympics were no more. And then it's my understanding that a little bit before World War II, they came back, and Hitler played a major role.
1912.
Was it 1912? Yeah.
1912, maybe, I
Yeah.
think. Don't quote me on that, anybody who's watching that, but I want to say it was around 1912 with the first official games of the new modern era, I think. And that's what they track now. Right. That's what they call the modern era now.
Yeah. So, that sounds about right, in 1912, before World War II.
Yeah.
So it sort of does represent like Western culture and civilization gradually turning away from its Christian roots and back to paganism. So I'm not saying that the Olympic Games are wrong in themselves. And, my wife and I enjoy watching them and everything, but, and there are some Christian like athletes that they compete because they love America. They're representing us and for the glory of God.
How about not just American athletes, but were you surprised by how many, or maybe you're not aware of it, but were you surprised by how many athletes from other countries seem to give thanks to God?
I did see that. Yeah, like in particular, we were watching the runners, different running races, and I saw
several.
One of the ladies were running, and there was, I don't know what countries they were from. I don't recall exactly, but they were giving glory to God and pointing up into the air, and so that was really encouraging to see that.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And that's why I decided that we were going to talk about this here now, and that I was going to do an episode on Mayhem Media, because the Olympics should be about the athletes, not about the ceremonies, the game, the games. It should be about the athletes and their sports, and their dedicated disciplines. That's what it should be about. It should be about the world coming together to compete, honestly. Like to just put everything else aside, come together to have a competition.
Yeah, and there were some people who were boycotting the Olympics in protest to the anti-Christian blasphemous things that they were doing. But if that's what they feel they should do, I'm okay with that. But I don't believe that's like God commands us to boycott them. I didn't like some of the things they did, but we still watched them and enjoyed them.
I want to, and I'm glad you just said about that, Pastor, because just because we're Christians and something is like that happens and we don't agree with it, if you feel that strongly that you should boycott them, of course, then you should. But you don't have to. Just because you're a Christian, it doesn't mean you automatically have to boycott it. If you're an athlete competing and this happens, you don't immediately have to walk away and say, nope, I'm going home because that happened. In fact, I think the demonstration of the athletes is a perfect example of how Christians shouldn't, you don't boycott. Like, it's not about hate. It's not about shutting them down. It's not about boycotting somebody. It's about spreading our influence as Christians.
Yeah, so, and my understanding is that like Christians in France were they were protesting, saying, "Hey, we don't like what you guys did," and that's good.
Yeah,
but there's some resistance against that, and so then they kind of walked it back and said, "Oh, that wasn't the Last Supper. That was a different."
And then you had the people.
Which was a lie. I don't believe it.
Because then you had the people who made the production going out saying, no, it was. Of course, the people who were behind it and the people who were out there on social media saying, yes, we did make it to mock this. Oh, they're just looking for that's what they're looking for. They're looking for you to throw hate at them. Then they can point and say, "Look, see, that's what they want."
Yeah,
So it's not about
yeah.
but it's not about hate. Like we shouldn't hate the people who did this. Yes, they did a terrible thing. It's terrible. Are you drinking out of your cup, Pastor?
Yeah, my Boiling Point podcast.
There you go. Take a look. That's going to be available to everybody soon. An engraved version of the Boiling Point podcast cup. Sorry, you took a drink of it. I have to get the plug in.
This thing's awesome. And it keeps stuff hot or cold. And I like the size of it. It fits in, like some mugs, they're narrow in the bottom, and then they're real thick, and sometimes they don't fit in like different places, and this one does. So yeah, and I like the spill resistant lid too.
Yeah, and then I think you got one of the special straws that came with it too.
Yeah, well, actually, this is a straw I had. It's stainless steel.
Oh, you didn't get one? I thought you got one of those with the cup.
No.
Oh, then I will have to get you. Then you missed something. I'll check the box and get you. You should have. There should have been more stuff with the cup. So that's my apologies. Sorry, everybody. We did have to get that plug in. We are Christians, but we're also capitalists. We live in the real world, so we got to get that plug in. He took a sip of it, and it's going to be a cup that will be available to everybody. It's not yet, but soon we'll have one made, and then we'll be able to show it, and then you can go to pick it up. And it's going to be available from The Humankind. Go check them out on Facebook, The Humankind. And if you want something made for yourself, reach out to them. She's very good. Mia's very good, and the team, her team, and everybody's very good over there. They make great stuff. So. And
so feel free to check out our Boiling Point merch.
Yes. Yeah. And our merch, of course, our storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point podcast. The cups are not available on the storefront. They're going to be a separate thing that we're doing with The Humankind. But we do have other stuff. We do have another travel mug, and we do have other apparel items that you can grab. So please grab some of them. I'm wearing the original t-shirt, The Boiling Point. Before we were even the Boiling Point podcast, I made the storefront and had this shirt shipped before I had anything else even really built, before I realized that we were going to have to add the podcast at the end of it. Because there were a couple other The Boiling Point things out there, though most of them were inactive. So, and the apparel is great. It lasts a long time. Like I said, season 5, this is going on, this is a little over 5 years old, this shirt. So it's holding up great apparel. Go check it out. It is a little bit more expensive than most other people's storefronts, but it is worth the extra money because you will get longevity out of it. It's a shirt you'll still have in 5 years. Mm-hmm. All right, back to what we were talking about. The athletes and being Christians and not secluding ourselves, but spreading our influence by still involving ourselves. We don't have to close ourselves off just because something's happening that we don't like.
Right.
We don't participate. We shouldn't participate in it or add to it, but we don't have to. And when I say participate, I mean, be in favor of this or be understanding of it. It's not understandable. It's a mockery. It's pretty clear that people have come out and said it. So, it's not okay. But I don't think it was a reason to boycott the games or for the athletes to boycott the games, because I think that the influence, their influence of God was spread more as a result of this. And then seeing how many athletes actually gave thanks to God.
Yeah. And maybe I could say it this way too. Like watching the Olympics is not necessarily an endorsement of everything that they did. Like it's just no, we're watching the Olympics.
Yeah, we watch.
We're not endorsing the blasphemous opening ceremony. But my wife and I were watching some of the closing ceremony. Did you see any of that?
No, I did not watch the closing ceremonies. I figured something was going to happen, and it was just going to be further nonsense. I mean, not nonsense.
I don't know what to make of it. It was weird and bizarre.
Really?
I don't even know how to describe it. Weird and bizarre. And
okay, I'll have to go check it out then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the games. The athletes still keep what is important about the games. I think that's where where the heart of the games are, is with the athletes. Forget the people who do the opening ceremonies and the closing ceremonies and put on all that production. It's about the athletes. So, and as you said, we don't have to boycott them. But if you did feel that strongly, of course, we live in a capitalist society, and if as a Christian you felt, I don't want to put this on, or I don't want to give them ratings or views or whatever, then that's fine. That's your decision as well. As Pastor Gavin said, I chose to still watch the games, especially once I started seeing how many athletes were really showed their faith. I was like, okay, I'm watching. All right, we're going to shift now, pivot one more time. Our last topic that we're going to talk about is the debate that just happened a couple days ago. Pastor Gavin, what are your thoughts on the debates?
Well, I think it was very obvious that the two news anchors who were there
ABC.
moderating it.
Yeah, I don't remember their names, but
yeah, it was like 3 against 1. I mean,
yeah, I didn't want to get their names. After I saw it, I didn't even get their names because I didn't even want to say them on my air. But it was 100% a blindside. It was a 3-on-1 match, absolutely, and not just that. The live mics, ABC saying that they're gonna keep some of the mics live, or and they're gonna let the press poll stand close enough so that they can hear me, even if the mics get turned off. What is that about?
Yeah,
what kind of sense does that make?
And they were very clearly antagonistic against Trump and biased in their questions. Like, they would quote fact checked some of the things that he said, but they wouldn't fact check Kamala. Caramella. Yeah. They wouldn't fact check her, but like one of their questions was something like, why do you continue to say fraudulently without any evidence that there was election fraud? I mean, they're saying what you're saying is wrong, and why do you keep on saying it? I mean, it's a
but
bias.
They didn't fact check any of her stuff or hold her to her positions with the Biden campaign, as opposed to now that she's changing her mind on a bunch of stuff and changing it. And how about her whole thing that she's going to start on day one, rebuild on day one? She's at the end of her 4th term as vice president. And I'm sorry, it's pretty clear Biden hasn't been running the show in a long time.
Yeah. Yep. So either she has been running the show or the other puppeteers behind her and Biden. But she's going to do all this stuff. Why hasn't she lifted a finger to do any of it these past 3.5 years?
Yeah.
I mean, she's acting as though she's not the incumbent and that Trump is. And Trump hasn't been in office this last, term.
Yeah. And she
very biased.
Yeah, and ABC was so biased. I really hope that they accept Fox's invitation. Both candidates tweeted out afterward. Well, Trump said on Truth Social that they would love to do it again, that they want to do another debate. So let's hope that they do have another one, and I really hope that they have it on Fox. And I don't want Fox to be biased towards Trump. Trump doesn't need protection. He doesn't need your protecting.
Yeah.
So I would love for the Fox to pick a moderator who's really going to call it right down the middle, and not just hold Kamala Harris to her positions, but to hold Trump to his too, if that's what's needed. You know what I mean? Like, if we need someone to give an honest debate and call it down the middle. That's what this country needs right now, to make a real decision. And I think Trump will be that clear decision. If they have a real debate, I think Trump wins it hands down, because Harris is not going to be able to explain some of her positions away. She's just not going to be able to. Even when they did ask her about it, she said she would talk about something different, and then the moderators would never hold her to an answer, like they did with Trump. Trump did on 1 or 2 occasions do like a stump filler speech where he talked, where he kind of pivoted and didn't really answer the question, but they held him to an answer. Well, at least they tried. They asked him again and then and again. But they did not really do that with Harris at all. They did not try to hold her at all to her positions.
Yeah, a lot of what she said was just general platitudes, like we need to look forward with hope and optimism and, I'm going to do this and that.
Rebuild the middle class. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how are you going to do it? Now, one weakness in Trump's presentation, in my view, was where like they asked him, President Trump, how are you going to deport illegal aliens? Well, he didn't answer that. And I wish that he would have said, like, I've heard J.D. Vance interviewed, and he was asked that question. J.D. Vance would give very specific answers, like, well, our plan would involve, first of all, beginning with the illegals who commit crimes.
Yeah.
So they would be the first ones that we would, gather up and deport and so forth. But Trump didn't give any specifics. He really didn't answer that question. And I think that was, I'm definitely on Trump's side, but I'm just saying that was a weakness in his presentation. And if I had to give him a grade, this is just me, I would give him a C.
A C?
I mean, I think, yeah. I think he did okay, but he could have done a lot better.
I think I probably would have given him a B minus maybe on it because, not just for that answer, but I think the way Kamala Harris was so antagonistic towards him. I think I don't like when he does it. I prefer I would like him to be more presidential because I know he's the right choice. I wish he would take more time to explain his positions and what he's going to do to people or do for people instead of just hammering and calling names and stuff like that. But in this situation, I don't know. He might have just needed to go after her a little bit more on this one. That's what I think I would have liked to see because she was so rude.
Yeah.
And I know Trump, yes, we heard Trump a couple of times. Of course, not as much because ABC didn't keep his mic on like they did Kamala Harris's constantly. But I think he should have went back at her. I think because the moderators were not doing it. I think he should have called her out. I mean, you can't talk directly to her, but he could have said, why don't you ask my opponent this question about this policy? Why is she flip-flopped on this? You know what I mean? Like I think he should have thrown some of it back at her. I think because again, like you said, it was a 3-on-1 match. He was clearly outnumbered. I think he should have took the gloves off and started throwing things right back and not just because at the same token, not just Kamala Harris, but then he would have also been holding the moderators to their job, saying, hey, why don't you ask her this? Why don't you ask her that? Because even the post coverage on Fox was very much like the moderators did not ask her or hold her to answers, so I would have liked to see Trump start doing it, after it was clear the moderators weren't going to do it. I would have liked him, instead of him answering a question, I would have said, well, I want you to ask my opponent about this. Why did she flip-flop on this? How is she going to explain this? Like, that's what I think he should have done. Or been like, hey, I'll answer your question right after you ask my opponent about, why the oil pipeline was shut down. You know what I mean? Or why the pullout of Afghanistan was so terrible. I think he should have called back and held the moderators and her at the same time. That's just my opinion. And Donald Trump, Mr. President, if you were watching this episode, but for some crazy, out of control, out of this galaxy reason that you're actually seeing this right now, please give me a call. I'd love to help you with debate prep, and I'd love to have a bug in your ear. Have me on a microphone behind the screen watching it, and then be able to whisper in your ear and help you out. You know what I mean? I'd love to be your spotter, your NASCAR spotter while you're on the debate stage. So please reach out. I would absolutely be happy to help you out with that anytime. So, who do you think won? A lot of people are saying that Harris actually won because she held her ground and went back at him and this and that. Who do you think won the debate? I don't know that Trump won it, but I don't think that Kamala Harris won it either.
No, maybe I'm biased. I would say that Trump won, but Kamala Harris did a much better job than I thought she was going to do. But, I've heard that she practiced all week, for an entire week, did nothing but rehearsed. And she had some canned lines that she no doubt memorized and so forth. So I mean, I think she did a pretty good job of, because she hid who she really is
Yeah.
and was able to disguise
But she,
and not have to disclose like her specific agenda and what she truly intends to do. And so she wasn't exposed for, who she really is.
yeah, you're right.
But
Yeah.
that's just me. I think she did very well.
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
did.
I'm not impressed by her, but people that don't look into both sides of everything and research,
Yeah.
the gullible, low information voter type person, they might have, been impressed with her presentation.
Yes. And
Well,
yes,
that's
there
just
definitely.
me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I believe you, and I personally agree with you too, because I know they were talking that she did a really good job, but she's not going to have a week to prep every time she comes in front of the press or every time she's going to face hard questions. She's not going to be
Yeah,
able
and
to take a week of prep time.
she doesn't do that. Did you notice, like,
This is
this
the
past
this is her
month,
first one. Yeah,
yeah, she had one interview with the press this whole month, and like Trump and JD Vance have had more than 30,
yeah,
according to
she
the
also had her
Council.
vice presidential pick with her when she did
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
press. So this is her first one alone, and that's what I'm saying. She's not going to be able to have a week or 2 weeks to prep before
mm,
she gets questioned by press or before she faces something like this. So
yeah,
the fact that we haven't seen her also, I think, should be concerning to people. People should be concerned about that. She hasn't. She got selected after Biden stepped down, and
hmm,
now nobody's seen her. All of a sudden, now that she is the candidate, we don't see her anymore. So why is that? And
yeah,
I think everybody should be concerned about that, because I don't think
yeah,
she's ready to be president. I don't think she's going to be a good president. And of course, as we talked about previously, even though it wasn't illegal, it's technically not illegal what they did, but they did circumvent the entire primary process.
yeah. Where's their democratic process?
Yeah, yeah,
I
they
mean,
did circumvent the
people
whole
didn't
thing.
vote for her and choose her to be the candidate.
She didn't compete in the Democratic. Um, if I don't actually, I don't even know if there were any Democratic debates. So maybe there weren't any Democratic. Maybe Biden.
No, just Biden
Yeah.
was
So
running,
but
but
without Biden, Biden's the incumbent. Without Biden, though, even if she's the vice president, there would have likely been a Democratic debate in the
yeah,
primary.
yeah, yeah. My understanding is that there was a lot of money that was donated to the Biden-Harris campaign, and so no other candidate would be able to have that money or access to that campaign money. But Kamala Harris can do that because she was Joe's running mate. So
And
that's probably a big part of it.
I called it. I honestly thought they would wait, but apparently they think that Joe Biden can't win against Donald Trump, which is hilarious. But I think that
Mm,
my initial thought was actually correct. I think Biden was going to run, if get elected if possible, and then resign like
mm,
within 30 days after being
yeah,
president, and then give Kamala Harris a full term that she wasn't elected to, so that she could still run for president 2 more times. It's a loophole that you could get a third,
mm,
that you can give somebody 3 terms as president.
yeah, yeah. That's
So
true.
yeah, so that's what I thought was going to happen, and I think that's what was going to happen
Maybe that
before.
was their plan.
Yeah, before they saw the debate, I think that was their plan, and then they were like, "Oh man, he can't. No one's going to buy this anymore." Well, we weren't buying it to begin with. We didn't buy it in 2020.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? The election was,
yeah.
was what
Here,
it was. What it was.
that reminds me, John, something else that if I were Trump, I wish he would have done was pointed out how for the last 3.5 years, Kamala Harris has lied to the American people, saying Joe Biden is very, mentally sharp and
That
he's able to handle the job, and boy, he's doing great. And you know, she's been lying about his mental capabilities.
Yeah,
I wish Trump would have pointed it out. I mean, it's easy for us to be Monday
we
morning
run Monday morning
quarterbacks,
quarterbacks. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
just that's one thing I noticed. We're talking about what we noticed and
Yeah,
what we wish Trump would have done or wouldn't have done. And so
yeah,
that's
absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we're not adding to misinformation or anything. We're analyzing the debate. That's what we're doing. We're providing some
Yeah.
analyzation of the debate and how it went.
And,
So,
and she
um,
said, "Oh, I'm never going to try to take your guns away." Well, I heard her in an interview a few years ago where she was saying that she would be in favor of buyback programs, but they would be mandatory gun buyback programs. So yeah, she wouldn't take your guns, but she would force you to sell them. To get the
I think
it
that's what
would be
people. I think that's what a lot of
mandatory.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's what a lot of people need to notice is that what she says on stage is contradictory to not just what her politics and what she said in the past, but look at her
yeah.
decisions. Look at her time in office. You're going to see what her history is and what her agenda is by going to look at that.
John, have you seen the interview that she gave? Well, not an interview. She was giving a few years ago, giving a speech somewhere, and she was talking about how when she, as a young woman, became a prosecutor, she said, "I realized that by the writing of my signature, I had the power to have someone arrested, and even if the charges would be dismissed." It would cost them a lot of money and a lot of difficulty. And I had the power to do that just by signing my signature. It makes me wonder if she's not part of the architect of a lot of this lawfare against Trump.
Yeah, I
I
think
just,
so too.
she's probably not the only one, but being a prosecutor, she's aware of how if you're a prosecutor, you can destroy someone's life or make it very difficult.
Yeah, which they're doing, trying to do to Trump right now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of the people are buying it right now. And if people are wondering, I am working on a special episode about what happens if Trump's elected, if he gets convicted, can he be president? Can he run for president if he's convicted? The constitutionality of it. I am working on an episode that explains all of that that I would like to do before the end of September. So look for that in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks. Hope to have that special done and posted as well. I don't know that that'll be a live episode either. Not all of our episodes this next year will be live. Some of them will be live and some of them will just be recorded. I'd like to do more live episodes, but if that's going to happen, then we'll need people to tune in, and which means we'll need to promote better and let people know when we're going live. So we're going to try it a little different this year, not do as many live episodes, but we will still do some live episodes. Pastor Gavin, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about with the debate or anything else here?
No, that's about it.
All right. Well, that's where we're going to conclude this episode of 118, our season 5 premiere. Like I said, we got lots of episodes. Stay tuned. And if you enjoy Halloween at all, and Pastor Gavin, we might do a Halloween episode as well on the Boiling Point podcast here. But if you do like Halloween at all, scary movies and stuff like that, tune into our sister show, Mayhem Media. We'll be doing a whole month long on Halloween and talking about various movies and TV shows and stuff. So if you do like that stuff, check out our sister show, Mayhem Media. They're on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Just search Mayhem Media and you will be able to find them. Find us, me, them, all of us, all incarnations. Marcus Frederiksen is going to play us out. He played us in. He does a lot of the music here for the Boiling Point podcast. Make sure you check him out, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. And of course, our storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point podcast. Pick yourself up some apparel. We'll have some new winter shirt apparel coming soon. A new design. We do it every year. We do it with the tank tops in the summer. We do it in the winter with the sweatshirts. So look for that in the next couple of weeks and pick yourself up something and support the show. And please share this out. Please share out our episodes. Hit the like button, hit the reaction button, hit the subscribe button, all of that. We can't grow without some help from our viewers. So if you enjoy our content, please share it out. Pastor Gavin, make sure you check him out on YouTube. Just search Gavin Whitcomb, Pastor Gavin Whitcomb, and you can find his channel as well. Hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get him to 100 views. Until next time, I am your host, JD, for Pastor Gavin, our senior faith correspondent. That's the end. you.